Hello dear students, welcome to part 1 of the video series on globalization. This is chapter 9 of the book Contemporary World Politics. So first is trying to understand what is globalization. So globalization is a multidimensional concept. So this is a answer for a potential one marker question. In boards they ask sometimes fill in the blanks type questions. Now, how it is multidimensional? It is multidimensional because it has political, economic, and cultural manifestations, and these must be adequately distinguished. So, globalization can be seen in three fields, that is, political, economic, and cultural. So, there are three dimensions to globalization, and that is why it is a multidimensional concept. So that is why if you take a political science class, you will be reading about globalization. If you take a economics class, again you will be reading about globalization, and even if you have a culture class, then again the same. Now, the impact of globalization is vastly uneven. It affects some societies more than others, and some parts of some societies more than others. So again, this is very self-evident. So you see that some parts of the world are highly globalized, correct? So, uh, like some countries like USA, China, and Western Europe, they are highly globalized. European Union is a big example of globalization. No, like all these countries have merged together, and there is free travel and all. Again, inside a country, different areas can be differently globalized. So, like big cities like Hyderabad, Pune, Maharashtra, they have high globalization. So again, like uh, they are better connected to the other parts of the world, at least in terms of physical travel and physical transportation. Of course, with the coming of internet, this has changed a little. So even if somebody is in a small town, they can connect to other parts of the world using the internet. But again, a physical part here will be still missing. Now, also inside any society, example the Indian society, again globalization will affect different parts differently. So while the rich people will benefit from globalization, they are able to set up their companies in India and even abroad. Poor people might both benefit and also lose. So poor people, while they might get some jobs in MNCs if MNCs come to India, but like tribals and all, they will also lose their land if big MNCs come and set up their factories and industries in the tribal areas like Jharkhand. So again, different societies are affected differently. Now, what are the causes of globalization? So we'll try to understand the causes of globalization in the upcoming slides. First question that we must answer is globalization new phenomena? So globalization is about the flow of ideas, capital, commodities, and people. So the keyword here is flow. So flow of what? Ideas, capital, commodities, and people. So over the internet we can share our ideas. So like what is happening in USA right now, the Black Lives Movement. So the idea is shared with other countries, and in India, people are coming up with trends like Dalit Lives Matter and Muslim Lives Matter. So again, it shows somewhere that ideas are getting transmitted very rapidly due to globalization. Capital is also moving, so like big companies from other countries also invest in other countries. So, for example, Apple has invested in India. They are trying to set up outlet here, like factory here. Again, like during Corona, a lot of companies started to move out their capital from China to other countries like India and Vietnam. So that is there. Commodities are also flowing. So now we can have imported products from US and other countries. So again, that is flow of commodities and people also, like, of course during COVID this has decreased, but before that people used to go to other countries for work, travel, and even to live there. So again, flow of people has also increased. So uh, so globalization is about all this. So is there anything novel? Novel means new, okay? So is there anything novel, sorry, not about, novel about this phenomena? So of course nothing is novel about this phenomena. It has taken place through much of human history. But what is new is the scale and speed of this flow. So earlier also people used to travel from one country to another. Idea used travel. So during the French Revolution, the idea of liberty and equality and fraternity spread from France to India and other countries, of course, America also. So it's not like ideas, people, and capital did not flow in the in the previous times, but the scale and speed was very less because of lack of technology. So the role of technology becomes very important. So technology remains a critical element here. Critical element means that without technology, this process will not be. Of course, it's not like it won't be possible, but the scale and speed will be much less. Just imagine how difficult it will be to communicate ideas without the internet. Again, sending postcards and all those things. And again, we don't know if that is also technology or not. That is also technology. If you remove that, then without technology, people just walking and all will be too much. Now, invention of the telegraph, the telephone, and the microchip in more recent times have revolutionized communication. So, of course, telegraph and telephone, they revolutionized communication. Before that, you had postcards and all, which would need to be physically carried. So that would take a lot of time. But with wire and wireless technology, this has become much easier. Microchip again has made it possible to process a lot of information in a very small time. So that is again a factor here. Now, latest technology will affect the way we think of our personal but also our collective lives. So technology affects how we think about our lives. No, like how we think what is possible, how our lives make sense. So without technology, like we cannot even think about no, connecting with our loved ones from like distance place. But with like even during COVID, you could see that our personal lives were somewhat saved due to video calls and other ways of connecting. Like my friends and I were like choosing this app called House Party and all to meet each other online. So again, uh, technology has changed the way we think of our lives and also our collective lives. So again, even as a collective group, we are doing this teaching learning process through online technology. So this idea that we can teach online also somewhere is a product of technology. The reason I'm not out of my job right now is because I can do this online. If it was not possible to do online, I might have lost my job. Globalization, however, does not emerge merely because of the availability of improved communication. So, of course, this is not just because there is technology, globalization will happen. North Korea is an example of this. It is a totally isolated country. So, they also have the technology, but they have cut off. Even China, they don't have any Twitter, Facebook, Google. They have their own versions of WhatsApp, Twitter, and Facebook. So again, if you see that, then they are not tapping into the globalization phenomena as much. So the issue here is that. that there should be political and political will to also make sure globalization happens. Now, so it is important for people in different parts of the world to recognize this in interconnections with the rest of the world. So again, if only people feel connected to other people of the world, only then they will use technology. It's like a chicken and egg thing. They will use technology to get to know other people, and then they will feel connected, and they will then use more technology to connect better with people. Now, last thing that I want to discuss in this video is the political consequences of globalization. So how does globalization affect traditional conceptions of state sovereignty? So state sovereignty basically we understand means that the state, that is the nation inside its territory is supreme. Nobody can dictate what the government should do inside, what the nation should do inside its borders. Of course, we know that this sovereignty is not absolute and we are bound by international norms and rules, but it is up to a certain limit a very independent thing. Now, globalization results in erosion of state capacity, that is the ability of the government to do what they do. So, globalization somewhere reduces this state sovereignty because now you are committed to other countries and global, other international groups and institutions like UN. Like in last chapter, environmental politics, we discussed that India is committed to the Kyoto Protocol and other like the Paris Protocol, so Paris Accord, Paris Climate Accord. So again, we cannot just say that no, we'll only burn thermal, coal and thermal power plants in India. We don't care about the environment because we are committed. We will have to work in the international arena. So again, due to globalization, all these countries coming together, there is this commitment to do so, and that is why the state sovereignty has decreased. Also, the a minimalist state that performs certain core functions such as the maintenance of law and order and the security of citizens. So we see that MNCs are coming to the country and they are taking over. Uh, Also, privatization is happening due to globalization. So LPG reforms happened in India in 1991. After that, we have a lot of private companies and institutions like private schools, private hospitals. Uh, there has been some talk to establish some allow foreign universities to establish their campuses in India. So again, these private resources are costly and not everybody can afford them. But what happens is that right now we have seen that the government is selling many various of its stakes. So initially the government used to provide most of the resources, like the Alvin colony in Hyderabad. It was for the employees of the Alvin company that was owned by the state of Andhra Pradesh, and they manufactured things like fridge and all. So if a government is producing fridge, it can even sell it for cheap price to poor people. But if it is a private company, they will only look for profit. And the state will not take care of those problems of its people. And the state will only make sure that to maintain law and order in the country and provide security, the police and defense, so that the companies, the private companies that are working inside a country are safe. Correct? But they won't go into like providing cheap electricity, free food and free education to the people, because they allow the market to determine that, and the market is governed by money. So those who have money will only get that. Now, in place of the welfare state where is the government takes care of its people, it is the market that becomes the prime determinant of economic and social priorities. So the market will determine whether a school will be opened in the slums or it will be opened in the posh area of the city. And of course, the posh area will be chosen because only those people can pay. And in a slum, a cheap school will be opened, which only poor people can, which is only for poor people. However, the state power has not totally decreased due to globalization. The state capacity has also received a boost as a consequence of globalization, with enhanced technologies available at the disposal of the state. So right now we can see that The state has got surveillance power. It can read our emails and Facebook data and yesterday I was watching this movie called Snowden. So it talks about Edward Snowden, of course, and how the NSA was spying on its own people in America. So again, the state power has increased with this. Now the state can put CCTV cameras and everything. In China, you might hear about this something called social credit. So if people are very critical of the government, then the government takes away their privileges to travel and all freely. So the state somewhere is also becoming powerful in the law and order situation, but the economic and social responsibility of the state is decreasing. So I'll end this video here. In the next video, we'll talk about economic consequences of globalization. Thank you.